My name is Duncan, and my partner is Joshua Zielbauer, and we'll be presenting The Life of a French Worker. Starting with the geography and environment of France, they're a major part of the EU and have taken place in many historical events and have restabilized their economy since World War II. They offer many natural resources such as coal, iron ore, and bauxite. And also, the French landscape is in relatively low-lying plains, plateaus, and mountain blocks. It's found within the Alps and Pyrenees, which is some typical landscape that can be found throughout Europe. And the French architecture is also really cool and can be described as medieval. It goes back as far as 1140 to 1500.
All right, the governmental, political, and social stance of France. So the type of government in France is a little bit different than our own. They're set up in a semi-presidential system, determined by the French Constitution of the Fifth Republic. Pretty much just meaning that they separate the state and the government into two separate quantities. The nation declares itself to be indivisible, secular, democratic, and social republic, kind of just dipping their hands into multiple pots for whatever situation best fits. They tend to also follow a more civil law approach as opposed to our common law, which refers to written laws consistently being updated as their main source. They also have universal health care. The tuition is based on family income, which I find quite interesting. And the cost of living is around 2,000 to 2,500 per month, and that's in US dollars.
The culture and customs of France differ greatly from America. There's formal greetings of bonjour, informal of the double triple kiss. Also, France has very closely knit families and friendships, which can sometimes be seen as cold, but it really just takes a lot of time to develop that trust and relationship. The French cuisine is of a very high standard and reputation. In public, it's normal to be discreet, but intimacy is also emphasized. And you also want to make sure to arrive at events 10 to 15 minutes late, as being on time is seen as rude. Being a guest is also very important in France, so you want to make sure if you go there to read up on being a guest and table etiquette. Some business customs in France are always address someone as monsieur or madame unless you're invited to call them otherwise. Always wear business formal attire unless told otherwise. And business casual is just no tie, but very well dressed and groomed still. Long term relationships in business in France are very important, so it's normal to make an effort to engage in light talk or personal conversations. It's also good to remember that France is a hierarchy and that decisions come from the upper echelons of authority.
An average day in the life of a French worker. On average, the French typically wake up around 7:30 to 8 a.m., never forgetting their morning coffee. A large percentage of France not only drinks coffee in the mornings, but throughout their days. The workday usually starts around 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. Lunchtime at 12:30 with a 30-minute break, and the workday ends around 5 to 6 p.m. This is a pretty typical day in America as well. Dinner time occurs around 7 to 8 p.m. and bedtime around 11. Some other important notes are that on average, the work week is only about 35 hours. Work days may not exceed 10 hours. An employee may not go more than 4.5 hours without getting a break. Minimum wage is around 10.15 euros, or in USD that's 11.34, and the average income is around 32,600 USD.
Some benefits of French workers are they're required to take 5 weeks of vacation at minimum. They also get health coverage, unemployment allowances, retirement and pension funds. Some typical supplementary benefits are company car, as well as private health and meal coverage. They also have an array of specialized labor courts, so that makes that process a lot easier and more efficient, which is very different from the US. They also get 11 holidays off on top of that 5 weeks of vacation. The employers must subsidize 50% of their pass for public transportation. There's tuition reimbursement, 16 weeks for French women for maternity leave, and really the list just goes on.
Values and context. So, in general terms, the French hold team and family values very highly. Individual success leads to the well-being of the group. That being said, each individual is held responsible for their own decision-making and productivity within that society. Egalite, um, Rough pronunciation or equality is also a very high value in France. They believe in equality and team and family values before all.
Compared to the rest of the world, France is labeled the 64th freest economy, and it also sees itself as a leader among the EU, and it really is. They have $3.0 trillion in GDP with an expected growth rate of 1.5%. The only thing is that unemployment is at 9.2%.
All right, some questions for the class. First off, what do you see some large cultural differences between us and France? Maybe some examples of things that they value more opposed to us, or vice versa. Additionally, feeding off of that, number two, what do you think you should know going into a business meeting in France? And finally, number three, knowing France's current position, how could we adapt some of our advertising to better suit their culture?
And here's the works cited.